Have you ever wondered what foods the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, disliked? You might have heard of foods that are good for health, or ones that we should consume in moderation. But today, we're diving into something different. We're going to explore 3 foods that the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, avoided. Foods so disliked that even the angels couldn't tolerate them. In Islam, the lifestyle of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, serves as the best guide for us. Every action, every word, and even the things he chose to avoid hold valuable lessons. He was not just a spiritual guide, but also a model of how to live with wisdom, balance, and kindness. From what he ate to how he interacted with others, his life was an example for us all to follow. We might wonder, why should we care about the foods the Prophet disliked? Isn't it enough to simply follow the basic principles of Islam? Well, when we look deeper, we find that the foods the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, disliked carry more than just a lesson in diet. They show us how to be considerate of others, how to maintain humility, and how to take care of our own bodies, mind, and soul in ways that are pleasing to Allah. So, let's take a closer look at 3 foods that the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, disliked, and understand why angels themselves cannot tolerate them. These foods not only hold significance in the teachings of Islam, but also serve as a reminder of the Prophet's, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wisdom in balancing our physical and spiritual well-being. Let's start with the first food on our list: onions. Onions are a staple in many households across the world, and we use them in countless dishes, whether in salads, soups, stews, or even sandwiches. But for the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, onions were something to be avoided in certain circumstances, especially before entering a mosque. In Sahih Muslim, it is narrated that the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "Whoever has eaten garlic or onions should keep away from us, or keep away from our mosque, and should stay at home." Sahih Muslim. So why did the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dislike onions to such an extent? Was it just about the taste? No, it's about the smell. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, valued cleanliness, good hygiene, and the comfort of those around him. The smell of onions, when eaten in excess, can be quite strong and overpowering. When someone enters a mosque or a gathering place with the strong odor of onions on their breath, it can be distracting, uncomfortable, and even repulsive for others. More importantly, it was believed that such strong smells could disturb the angels who frequent these sacred spaces. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wanted us to show respect for these spaces, ensuring that we were considerate of others in our actions, including the foods we consume. This dislike of onions also holds a deeper spiritual lesson. It's not just about avoiding discomfort for others. It's about showing self-discipline and being mindful of our behavior. By being conscious of the things we eat, we learn to consider how our actions affect the people and the environment around us. This reflects a sense of community and empathy that the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, exemplified in all his dealings. Furthermore, the Prophet's, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dislike of onions also reminds us that it's not enough to simply follow rules. It's about understanding the wisdom behind them. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did not forbid onions altogether, but discouraged their consumption when it would harm the comfort of others, especially in communal spaces. The second food on our list is garlic. Like onions, garlic has a strong odor. It's widely used in various dishes and has a rich flavor profile that enhances the taste of food. But the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also advised against eating garlic in excess, particularly when heading to the mosque. In a famous hadith found in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "Whoever eats garlic or onion should not come near our mosque, for the angels are harmed by the same things as humans." Sahih Muslim. Again, this is about the smell. Just like with onions, garlic has a pungent odor that can linger and cause discomfort for those around you. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was not speaking only about the physical discomfort of others, but also about the spiritual atmosphere of the mosque. The mosque, after all, is a place of worship, prayer, and connection with Allah. The presence of the angels in such a sacred space is a reminder of the sanctity of the environment. And the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wanted to ensure that nothing, especially the strong odor of garlic, would disrupt that peace. Garlic, like onions, teaches us the importance of moderation. While garlic is beneficial in many ways, too much of it can be disruptive, not just to our own well-being, but also to the comfort of others. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wanted us to maintain balance and be considerate of the shared spaces where we gather with others in worship. The lesson here extends beyond food and fragrance. It's about being mindful of how our actions affect others, whether it's the words we speak, the way we behave, or even the food we eat. In a world that often prioritizes individual desires, the Prophet's sallallahu alaihi wasallam teachings remind us that our actions are always connected to those around us. And if we're aiming to live a life that pleases Allah, we must think of others' well-being too. The third and most significant food item that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam disliked is alcohol. In fact, alcohol is not just disliked, it is strictly forbidden in Islam. It is one of the most dangerous substances to both the body and soul, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear that consuming alcohol is not only harmful to the individual but to society as well. The Quran states, "O you who have believed, indeed, intoxicants, gambling, sacrificing on stone altars to other than Allah, and divining arrows are but defilement from the work of Satan, so avoid it that you may be successful." Quran 590. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also emphasized the gravity of this matter in many of his teachings. He said, "Whatever intoxicates in large quantities, a small quantity of it is also forbidden." Sunan Ibn Majah. Alcohol leads to a loss of control, making it difficult to maintain the mindfulness necessary for a proper relationship with Allah. It numbs the senses, clouds judgment, and diminishes a person's ability to fulfill their duties as a Muslim. For the angels, alcohol is a substance they cannot tolerate, as it disrupts the purity and clarity of the soul. Consuming alcohol not only harms the body, but also distances a person from their spiritual and moral center. The Prophet's, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, strong condemnation of alcohol reflects his concern for our spiritual and physical health. Alcohol doesn't just affect the person who consumes it. It affects their family, their community, and their ability to fulfill the important duties of worship and charity. Islam encourages a life of moderation, mindfulness, and discipline. Alcohol, with its destructive effects on both body and soul, is the complete opposite of these values. In our modern world, alcohol is often seen as a part of social gatherings and celebrations. But the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, showed us that true happiness and fulfillment come not from intoxicants, but from clarity of mind, purity of heart, and a deep connection with Allah. So, what can we learn from the Prophet Muhammad's, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dislike of these three foods, onions, garlic, and alcohol? More than just food preferences, these dislikes reveal a deeper understanding of how we should live our lives. Whether it's the smell of onions or garlic or the disruptive effects of alcohol, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, teaches us to be considerate of those around us. In our busy, interconnected world, it's easy to forget that our actions affect others. But by being mindful of the foods we eat, the words we speak, and the way we behave, we can make the world a more peaceful, respectful place. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did not forbid these foods entirely. Instead, he urged moderation. It's not about strict restrictions, but about finding balance in life, enjoying the good things Allah has provided while avoiding excess. Ultimately, the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wanted us to maintain our spiritual purity and connection with Allah. By avoiding substances like alcohol and being careful with what we consume, we protect both our bodies and our souls from harm. The foods the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, disliked are reminders of the deeper wisdom embedded in his teachings. They are not just about diet. They are about how we live in harmony with Allah, with our community, and with ourselves. May we always strive to follow the example of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and live in a way that is pleasing to Allah. Thank you for watching, and may Allah guide us all toward the best of actions and the most beneficial of knowledge. Peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.